Yo, what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be covering KvK group matchups that we know thus far. So everything that has been confirmed, or people that have replied to me thus far from me reaching out, thankfully we know pretty much the majority of the major and big matchups that you are going to be looking forward to this upcoming season of Strife on the most recent KvK storyline for Winter is Upon Us. So we're going to show you the matchups, we'll talk a little bit about it, and then eventually, once Brink of War, once Greatest Heights finish, but most importantly, once Brink of War finishes, Greatest Heights should be done before Brink of War. If not, Brink of War will be the second part, and we get through the troop training phase and it concludes. We will then be doing some PvP deep dive data breakdowns for the matchups that we know right now, and we'll also be covering up what alternative matchups could be, and then compare those against the current matchup to see if other matchups might have actually been more better or just more fair, more balanced overall, or if the current matchup ideally is the best one. And then we'll also take a look at some map positions. How does that potentially play out with the matchup that has been decided now versus others that we could maybe be looking at? So it should be a good time. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's go ahead and dive in to each of the matchups right now for how we know them. Now, again, we have been covering for the most part to do a quick recap, right? The ones I didn't end up pulling any matchup data for are just the lower overall power. And I did update this too as well. Someone had pointed this out to me in one of the YouTube comments, so thank you for that. So I actually went through all of these, and about half of them were not up to date all the way. And so I went through and updated the range that basically it's pulling from on the total power, so that way the total KvK group power is up to date. But the ones that are like below 50 mil, I just didn't really end up. I think this one here at 48.46 billion was the lowest one that we ended up capturing for. Basically, I think it was just these two or three. Yeah, these three were the ones that we didn't do just because there's a lot of unknowns there. Okay, so let's go into matchups. First matchup that we know right now is we have Kingdom 44, 47, 52. Their gray -FU DAU going up against Kingdom 34, 64, and 89. This is -VH Go ! And JNJB. You know, I'm just thinking about this now, that if I would have grabbed the KvK map to show that off to you guys, maybe I'll do that in a future one when we do the PvP data, so you guys can actually see where everyone is. I just thought about that now, and I could have went into the screenshots for that. It's late, apologies there. But this is the server power that I took before Brink of War started that we covered in the video yesterday. So you can see the matchup here is 25.1 billion versus 23.2 billion. So it's pretty close. It's within 2 billion. However, and as always, face value, kind of just server power, doesn't tell the whole story, but it at least gives you somewhat of a soft preview, we'll say. The next matchup that we have, this one is actually undecided at the moment. I'm waiting to hear back from, I had reached out to YY from Sheesh just to ask if they already know what the matchup is. Now, if someone knows what this matchup is for Kingdom 282, 314, 232, 214, 236, and 216, please feel free to let me know in the comments. You can DM me too as well. I'll update this so we can make sure that we do cover it going forward. This matchup we have is actually interesting because they kind of have this 3, maybe 4-way or 5-way thing that's going on here. This was confirmed to me by 2 separate people, where we have SJT, AMZ, and WGL, which make up 218, 286, and 287. They're going up against IMB, HOUW, DT, which is 222, 229, and 240. And then apparently RFF is going solo. And one source told me that MM and SHP were undecided, but then another source told me that they're solo as well. So maybe the undecided solo is just kind of where they're at the moment. Maybe that will change. But 2 people told me that RFF was going basically against everyone. So based on the matchup here, aside from RFF, which we'll probably put that in a moment, and I think this was actually based on, I think, these 3. So it's 54 bill versus 47 bill for the 3 groups, or for the 2 main groups. So you have about a 7 bill power range in favor of 218, 286, and 287. And then if we take a look at 283, we can look at them real quick. and I'll just grab them. So that's RFF, right? So I'll just do versus, and I'll just put them in whatever that is. We'll just do like 19.3 or something for them, and I'll just do total because it's just one alliance. So yeah, there we go. So that's how that looks. Next group we have is one of the other undecideds. I know someone in this group did tell me that they had not confirmed yet at this time, so we're still waiting on this, but this is 36, 67, 88, 31, 27, 28, and 87, or FSK, AXT, DON, POTC, LAWS, RR, and DK. So we'll see, when they end up deciding, and obviously we'll try to get you that information as early as we can. The next group here is going to be 756.84 versus 81.85.90. We have TCF, DSAC going up against PTW, DBB, and GW1. Now, the matchup is pretty favored based on in favor of TCF, DS, and AC, at least, again, based on the numbers currently. So it's 59.6 bill versus 48.8 bill. This comes out to about 11, almost 11 bill more in favor of the other side. And so yeah, we'll end up seeing how that one plays out. Like I said, we'll look at the T5 numbers eventually if we're able to get to this group and see how that looks. But at least at face value, it is leaning a little bit more. One of the things that we've talked about before when we're covering PvP data is that even if the power leans a little bit more on one side or the other, whichever side has less overall power, that's the side you usually want to see that has, maybe some higher powered players, even if you have like more power, more overall T5s on one side. If you end up having like more, maybe 100 mil plus, 150, 200 mil plus players, right? So usually that's kind of where you typically want to see the balance, and that's just because as you get up to a higher power threshold, it usually multiplies the amount of what you could say is like how much a player is worth versus someone who is a lower power than them. And it also, on average, usually comes with a higher spending capacity too as well. Okay, next group we have is probably one of the main ones, if not the main one. We have, now keep in mind, this was before the split, right? I'll make a note, we have a note of that too. But originally this was going to be Arcane Noir Kong GG versus Echo BXS FG NTS. Now we know that Echo is solo. However, if they did fight this out, the numbers we pulled was 69.9 billion power for the group, and then 71.6. So this was still pretty close. It was less than 2, it was about 1.7 billion differential. This was 3, 5, 48, 68 would have been going up against 49, 60, 62, 70. But again, Echo is not there, and I think they're the first number here, so you'd have to take away the 15.5. At about 1.7, you're looking at 14, 13.8, so they'd be about 13.8 billion less. But at face value, the matchup looks pretty close. Like I said, we'll have to do the PvP deep dive once we end up going into that, so maybe that'll show us or illuminate something else. And then eventually I'll talk about kind of the matchups, the positions, what I think about it too as well on that, to give my thoughts on kind of Echo deciding to go solo. We have, for the next one here, is EIS, ANCS, NA, VP22 going up against BDO, ROE, SB, and NF57. This is 22, 23, 30, 61 versus 29, 41, 45, 57. Now, this is pretty wide, at least when it comes to total power at face value. You have about an 8.5 build differential that's in favor of the EIS, ANCS, NA, VP22 group from 83.1 build to 74.6. So we'll end up seeing how that looks. Then I think this is the last group we have, which is 216, 232, 236 versus 214, 282, 314. This is WAN, YBD, JGN going up against KL7, K282. And then we have Sheesh. Oh, actually, never mind. Maybe I did get this, and I put them in twice. Right, because didn't I say something like I didn't know the matchup down here? But this is them. Oh, look at that. So never mind. I totally forgot I had them at the top. I guess someone did already tell me what this matchup is. So here you go. Look at that. Thought I didn't have it, and bam, we got it. So anyways, the total power here for this group was 26 billion versus 29.S. So it's about a 4 billion power differential that goes in favor of 214, 282, and 314. Now keep in mind, YY plays for OO, right? Second strongest player in the game behind Mephisto. If you were to add up both of his accounts, I think his strongest account at the moment, or I should say their strongest account, I believe is in second right now for our top 25 player list that we ended up doing last. With that in mind, that covers all the matchups that we know at the moment. And for any of the, I think, 2 or so that we don't know, as I mentioned, if you know of what those matchups are, please feel free to let me know. If things have changed, keep in mind, this is not to say that all of these are set in stone. This is just the most recent updated information I was provided and given. So if anything has changed, just, again, feel free to let me know. You can post a comment to update or even shoot me a DM. Aside from that, I'd love to know what you guys think about all the matchups. Which ones are you most excited for? Which ones are you like, this could have been better, but maybe it won't be that good now? Are there any alliances you're really looking forward to seeing fight out on the field, or any players in particular? Let me know in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.